Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, your charger, and maybe a box of tissues, because what just happened in Huntsville last night might be the most chaotic, jaw-dropping, emotionally unhinged reality meltdown of the year. You think you've seen drama? Oh no, you've seen mild turbulence. This is a full-blown emotional plane crash happening live on Instagram. Picture it. One woman known for being the queen of calm, Arionne breaking down mid-live stream, while her ex, Martell goes full scorched earth on MelodyShari, revealing secrets so wild even the internet had to stop scrolling and whisper, "Wait, is this real life or a Netflix script?" Now, the question on everyone's mind, what exactly did Martell expose that made Arionne crumble like a day-old cookie on camera? Why did Melody stay completely silent while chaos rained down? And most importantly, who's lying, who's crying, and who's just trying to go viral? Because, let's be honest, in 2025, emotional damage is practically a currency. This isn't just another celebrity squabble. This is emotional warfare, live stream edition. We're talking heartbreak, betrayal, hidden truths, and maybe even a few skeletons tumbling out of designer closets. So buckle up, because tonight we're diving headfirst into this scandal that's turning Huntsville into Hollywood's new heartbreak. Capital Land, trust me. By the end of this video, you won't know who to believe. But you will be talking about it. It all began with a ripple that turned into a digital storm. The kind of chaos that feeds the internet like gasoline on fire. Martell pressed that little go live button, and what happened next would have every gossip blog, reaction channel, and Twitter detective losing their collective minds. Viewers thought it would be another one of his motivational rants about truth, loyalty, and how people should mind their own business. But no, this time he came armed with receipts, at least what he claimed were receipts, and a tone that said someone was about to get publicly dragged. He started calm, almost a calm, that eerie kind of calm right before a thunderstorm hits. He spoke about lies, manipulation, and people playing innocent, when in fact they were the masterminds of deceit. Then he said the name everyone was waiting to hear, Melody. That single word was enough to make comment sections explode with gasps and capital letter reactions. He leaned closer to the camera, eyes hard, voice steady, saying he had stayed silent long enough and was tired of protecting people who didn't deserve it. He hinted that Melody wasn't the saint the world thought she was, that there were things hidden behind that polished image of strength and grace, and that she had played everyone for sympathy while stabbing him in the back. The comments scrolled so fast the words blurred. People started tagging Arionne instantly because where there's Martell, there's Arionne, the woman who had been both his biggest secret and his biggest scandal. Arionne was watching too, quietly at first, her face reflected in the screen light like someone staring into the past. She had built her entire brand on being unbothered. The woman who refused to be humiliated, who always posted perfectly filtered selfies after every public disaster, as if to say she was untouchable. But that night, her mask started to slip. The more Martell talked, the more her composure cracked. Viewers noticed her go-live moments after Martell ended his stream. And what they saw didn't match the confident woman they were used to. Her voice trembled, her eyes filled with tears she could barely blink away, and her words stumbled over themselves as if she couldn't keep up with the storm in her mind. The chat flooded with comments, some offering sympathy, others calling her out for finally breaking down after years of pretending. People wrote that she looked genuinely shattered, that she was crying not just over Martell's betrayal, but over something deeper, something that maybe she had been avoiding for years. And behind that heartbreak, there was a collective sense of voyeuristic thrill. The internet loves a downfall almost as much as it loves a comeback. Rumors started flying within minutes. Some claimed Martell had exposed private messages. Others said he hinted at Melody hiding financial scandals, secret relationships, even hidden deals with producers to control her public image. None of it was verified, but that didn't stop it from spreading like wildfire. Anonymous accounts popped up claiming to have screenshots, audio recordings, even voice notes of late-night arguments between the trio. It was messy, personal, and exactly what social media thrives on. Within hours, hashtags started trending, memes flooded timelines, and reaction videos dissecting every frame of Martell's life were already pulling in thousands of views. People started calling the entire thing the Huntsville Confessionals, half joking that this drama was better written than any reality TV script. Meanwhile, insiders claimed Arionne had tried to stop Martell from going live. Sources close to her said she warned him that his outburst would ruin them both, so that no one wins when dirty laundry gets aired to millions. But Martell didn't listen. He wanted control, the narrative, the attention. He always did. And when Arionne saw him go live anyway, something inside her snapped. Her tears weren't just heartbreak. They were exhaustion, the collapse of years spent pretending that being the other woman didn't weigh on her soul. She had defended him when the world mocked her, believed his promises that things would change. And yet, here she was, humiliated again, this time in front of the entire internet. The audience could feel it. That raw, shaky vulnerability made her human in a way people weren't used to seeing. Gone was the arrogance, the defiance. What remained was someone stripped of illusion, caught between love and regret. And as she wiped her tears on camera, the irony hit everyone watching while Martell claimed to be exposing Melody's secrets. The only person truly exposed that night was Arionne. Herself. By the next morning, the internet had turned into a digital courtroom where everyone was a judge and every opinion felt like a verdict waiting to be stamped. The clips from both lives were everywhere, cut down to 30-second snippets that removed any context and replaced it with shock value. Bloggers analyzed Martell's tone frame by frame, claiming his smirk meant guilt, while others argued it was confidence. Some said he was exposing the truth, others swore he was just spinning another self-serving story to stay relevant. The more people debated, the more theories surfaced, and soon anonymous insiders began feeding so-called leaks to gossip pages. One claimed Melody had been quietly meeting with a network executive to negotiate an exclusive documentary deal about her journey, and that Martell's outburst was a jealous reaction to being left out. Another claimed that Arionne had been promised her own redemption arc show and that her tears were part of a secret marketing push gone wrong. Nobody could confirm anything, but that did not matter because on social media, the line between rumor and fact barely exists. Meanwhile, Arionne went silent for almost 24 hours, which for her audience was the digital equivalent of disappearing. When she finally posted again, it was a black background with a single word, healing. That one word broke the internet more than her tears had. People started dissecting it like it was a coded message. Some said she was hinting at being done with Martell, others thought she was trying to guilt him publicly. Martell, on the other hand, posted a picture at the gym captioned with "Rise Above the Lies," which felt like a direct jab at Melody and Arionne simultaneously. The comments section was a war zone, half calling him delusional, and the other half cheering him on as a man finally telling his truth. Melody still said nothing, which made her silence even louder. Paparazzi-style photos appeared showing her walking into a coffee shop, smiling as if none of it touched her. That single image became the symbol of grace under pressure, while Arionne's breakdown became the face of emotional collapse, and Martell's lived the symbol of public chaos. Inside sources close to the trio whispered that the situation was worse than anyone imagined. According to one alleged friend, Martell had recorded private phone calls months ago, hoping to use them as proof that Melody had lied about their breakup timeline. Another claimed Arionne knew about the recordings but begged him not to release them, fearing they would backfire. The friend said Martell believed that by exposing Melody, he could win public sympathy, but instead it painted him as obsessive. That was when producers from the show reportedly stepped in, demanding he stop posting, because sponsors were threatening to pull out. Viewers began noticing that Martell's posts were becoming more erratic, more defensive, as if he realized the tide was turning. One night he even went live again, this time claiming he was being silenced by people who feared the truth, but his tone was different, not confident, but almost desperate. Arionne did not join that live, but her name appeared repeatedly in the comments with people begging her to walk away. The more he spoke, the clearer it became that he was not exposing anyone's secrets anymore. He was just unraveling in real time. Meanwhile, gossip channels began reporting that Arionne had been seen meeting with a lawyer in Huntsville. Though no one knew if it was about custody, business, or damage control, others claimed Melody's management team was preparing to sue for defamation, but no paperwork surfaced. Every rumor fueled the drama further until even national outlets started picking it up. The situation had grown too big to control, and suddenly, what had begun as a love triangle became a public study of ego and humiliation. Social media started spinning psychological theories about toxic relationships, emotional dependency, and narcissism disguised as confidence. People began choosing sides not based on facts but feelings. The followers who once cheered his confidence were now pointing out the contradictions in his stories. They noticed how every confession conveniently painted him as the victim and everyone else as the villain. What had once made him magnetic was now making him unbearable, and even his loyal fans began saying he needed help instead of attention. The narrative was changing fast, and for the first time, Martell was no longer in control. Days turned into weeks, and what once felt like a moment of gossip transformed into something heavier. A slow-burning reflection on how public heartbreak can consume private lives. Arionne began pulling away from the spotlight, deleting pictures, turning off comments, and avoiding lives altogether. The same woman who had once thrived on attention was now retreating, trying to find a corner of the internet quiet enough to breathe in. People noticed that her captions had changed. Instead of confident quotes about strength and independence, she was posting vague lines about peace, self-worth, and forgiveness. To her followers, it looked like growth. But to those who had followed the story closely, it looked like loss. Every post felt like an apology written in disguise, not to the public but to herself for allowing so much chaos to define her. Meanwhile, Martell continued to act unfazed, pretending to be unaffected by the entire ordeal. He posted motivational videos about moving forward and being misunderstood, but viewers saw through the act. The comments under his posts were filled with people calling him out, reminding him that actions have consequences. What was once seen as confidence now looked like arrogance. He tried to shift the attention by hinting at new business ventures and collaborations. But no matter what he said, every mention of his name was followed by talk of that live. That moment that changed how everyone saw him. Melody, on the other hand, remained untouchable in her silence. She had become a symbol of calm endurance, the woman who refused to let drama drag her back into the noise. Her fan base grew stronger by the day because people respected her restraint. She became a trend on social media, with people sharing quotes about dignity and strength, tagging her name under them. Without saying a word, she had managed to control the narrative completely. Something Martell had failed to do despite all his talking. Inside sources claimed that producers were eyeing the situation closely, aware that this real-life drama had more engagement than any scripted storyline. They wanted to capture it, to spin it into a special episode or reunion that would bring ratings through the roof. But the idea of turning real pain into entertainment made some hesitate. For Arionne, it was more than just television drama. It was the aftermath of years spent holding on to someone who thrived on chaos. Friends said she had started therapy and was slowly realizing how deeply she had been caught in Martell's orbit. Every time she thought she was free, something would pull her back. A call, a message, a rumor, or a memory that refused to fade. The world had watched her cry, and now it was watching her rebuild. That process was messy, invisible, and unfiltered. And though fewer people were paying attention, the few who stayed began to see glimpses of real healing. She began posting small victories, moments with her children, quiet dinners, sunsets. The tone had changed from proving something to simply existing. Martell noticed, of course. His ego would not allow him to ignore her silence. He made subtle references to loyalty and forgiveness in his posts. Lines that sounded like they were aimed at Arionne, but she never responded. Her silence became her shield, and in that silence, she was slowly reclaiming her identity. Public opinion had turned against Martell. Even those who once excused his behavior started calling him out for manipulation. The sympathy he craved was gone, replaced by skepticism. Analysts and commentators started framing the whole situation as a cautionary tale about emotional control and public vulnerability. The trio had become symbols in a story much bigger than themselves. Martell representing the toxic charm of control. Melody representing the peace of walking away. By the time the story began to fade from headlines, the lessons it left behind stayed. Viewers realized that behind every viral clip, there are people breaking quietly off dash camera. So after everything we have seen, after every tear, every live, every rumor turned into a headline, the question that still hangs in the air is simple yet haunting. What is the real price of living your truth online when the whole world is watching? Was Arionne's pain a lesson or a warning? Was Martell exposing truth or just chasing relevance? And did Melody's silence prove that peace really is the strongest statement of all? You decide. Because this story is no longer just theirs. It is a reflection of what happens when private emotions turn into public entertainment. So before you scroll past, before you judge or pick a side, think about how easily one click can shape someone's reality. And if you want to keep uncovering what really goes on behind those perfect posts and smiling pictures, make sure you hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this unfolding digital saga. Because in a world where truth and drama are one and the same, you never know whose story will unravel next, and trust me, it's only getting started. Only getting started.